Have you ever wondered why bad things happen to good people? Why those who live with kindness and sincerity often face pain and injustice? Is life truly unfair? Or is there something crucial we've misunderstood about the nature of goodness? Welcome to Mindful Glow, where we explore timeless wisdom and profound stories to illuminate your path to peace and inner strength. Here, we dive into life's deepest questions, guided by the teachings of ancient philosophy and modern insight. If you're seeking clarity, inspiration, and a way to navigate life's challenges with grace, you've come to the right place. Today, I want to share with you a story from the teachings of the Buddha. It may seem like a simple tale about a venomous snake, but it holds profound lessons about how we can face the hardships of life. This story will not only help you understand why unfairness exists, but also reveal the hidden strength within compassion and the importance of protecting your inner peace. Join me as we uncover the deeper truths behind this tale. By the end, I believe you'll see yourself and the world around you in a completely new light. Let's begin. Once upon a time, on the outskirts of a small village, there was a vast and lush field. In the center of this field stood an ancient tree, home to a notorious venomous snake. No one dared to approach the tree because whenever anyone stepped into the snake's territory, it would strike without hesitation, biting and often killing its victim. The villagers lived in fear, and over time, the snake became a symbol of dread, its presence shrouded in an aura of death and desolation. As time passed, the story of the snake grew into a haunting legend. The villagers didn't just fear the snake, they despised it. Yet none dared to confront it. The tree, once a symbol of life, had become a place of foreboding solitude. One day, a young monk passing through the village heard about the snake. When he saw the terror in the villagers' eyes, he asked, "Why are you so afraid of this snake? Can it truly be so fearsome?" A villager replied, "Master, this snake is not only deadly but also merciless. It bites anyone who comes near, and we've tried many times to kill it, but it's too dangerous." The monk smiled gently and looked toward the field. "Let me meet it," he said. The villagers gasped in alarm and tried to dissuade him, but the monk, calm and composed, walked toward the ancient tree where the snake lived. When he reached the tree, the monk sat down and closed his eyes, entering a meditative state. Hearing the sound of his presence, the snake slithered out of its dark hole, ready to strike. But something unusual happened. The snake paused. It was struck by the monk's calm demeanor and the radiant kindness in his gaze. It had never encountered a human who wasn't afraid, curious rather than aggressive. The snake coiled itself near the monk, lowering its head as though waiting. The monk opened his eyes, meeting the snake's sharp gaze with compassion. "You don't have to live in anger and aggression," he said softly. "Every time you bite someone, you not only cause their suffering but also bring pain upon yourself. Violence will never bring peace." The snake raised its head slightly, its piercing eyes softening. "I have lived this way since I was born. If I don't bite, I'll be destroyed. It's the only way I know to survive." The monk gently shook his head. Survival is not about fear or destruction. Survival is about peace. If you wish to change, live with compassion. Stop biting others. Let your presence no longer bring fear but harmony. The snake fell silent, deeply contemplating the monk's words. It had never imagined living without striking fear into others. Yet the monk's gaze filled it with an inexplicable trust. It promised to change and vowed never to bite again. In the days that followed, the snake kept its promise. It stopped attacking anyone who came near. At first, the villagers were wary, but they soon realized the snake had changed. However, instead of showing gratitude, they began to mock and abuse it. Some threw stones at it for fun. Others beat it, believing it was now harmless. The snake, now weak and wounded, felt a deep sense of sorrow, both in its body and soul. One day, unable to bear the pain any longer, the snake slithered back to the monk. It asked, "Master, why has my life become so painful since I embraced compassion? The people I spared now harm me without reason." The monk smiled gently and replied, "I taught you not to harm others, but I didn't tell you to abandon your self-defense. You can hiss without biting, Let your presence demand respect, not through fear, but through the strength of your true nature. The snake finally understood the monk's wisdom. From that day on, it stopped biting, but also stopped allowing itself to be harmed. When villagers approached, it hissed loudly, reminding them of its presence and potential. Gradually, they began to respect its boundaries and left it alone. For the first time in its life, the snake experienced true peace, a peace born from compassion, wisdom, and inner strength. When the Buddha told the story of the venomous snake, it was not just a lesson in compassion, but an invitation for us to understand the complexity of human life. Why would a snake, born with the instinct to defend itself, suffer greatly after choosing to abandon its aggression? And why do we, as kind and well-meaning individuals, often face pain caused by the very kindness we try to offer? This is not merely a simple tale, but a reflection of the challenges we face in our daily lives. Imagine the snake, genuinely wanting to change after hearing the monk's teachings. It decided to stop biting, choosing peace and hoping to bring harmony to the village. But its kindness was misunderstood. Instead of being appreciated, it was beaten, tormented, and left in agony. This story reveals an uncomfortable truth. Kindness, without the wisdom to protect it, can sometimes become a double-edged sword. The Buddha did not tell this story just to teach the snake a lesson, but to guide us, humans, toward deeper self-awareness. He wanted us to understand that compassion is not a sign of weakness. It is the greatest strength, but only when paired with wisdom. If the snake had learned to hiss without biting, to maintain a presence that commanded respect, it would not have suffered so much. And this is what we must learn too, to live kindly without losing our inner strength. In life, we are often placed in situations that make us question, was I wrong to be kind to others? Perhaps you have helped a close friend, only to be betrayed. Perhaps you have worked tirelessly to support your colleagues, only to be taken advantage of. Such moments can make us want to withdraw, to stop being kind. But remember, abandoning kindness is not the answer. Instead, we must learn how to hiss, to defend ourselves without losing our compassion. Think of Emma, a young woman known for her kindness. At work, she was always ready to help, always said yes to every request. But over time, those around her began to see her kindness as an obligation. They piled extra work onto her and claimed credit for her efforts. Emma felt empty and exhausted. She wondered if her kindness still had meaning when it only brought her pain. One day, Emma came across the story of the snake. She realized, like the snake, she had misunderstood kindness. Being kind does not mean pleasing everyone. It does not mean sacrificing yourself until you are drained. Kindness, paired with wisdom, means knowing when to say no, setting boundaries to protect yourself. When Emma started doing this, she not only retained her kindness, but also earned genuine respect from those around her. But why does suffering still happen to good people? This question is not just yours to ponder. It is one humanity has asked for thousands of years. The Buddha once said that suffering is an inevitable part of life because it is the greatest teacher we can have. Without suffering, we would never know how to grow. Just as a clay pot must endure the fire to become strong, the human spirit needs the furnace of challenges to become resilient. Think of Gandhi, a leader who dedicated his life to the fight for freedom through nonviolence. He faced imprisonment, misunderstanding, and betrayal even by those he loved. Yet Gandhi never blamed life for his hardships. Instead, he saw them as opportunities to refine himself. He once said, "Suffering does not come to destroy us. It comes to refine our hearts and strengthen our will." Buddhist philosophy reminds us that suffering is not an enemy but a teacher. But how do we face suffering without losing our peace? The answer lies in nurturing compassion and wisdom through meditation. Meditation is not an escape from reality, but a way to face reality with a stronger heart. You can start with a simple meditation practice. Sit quietly in a peaceful space. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Feel each inhale and exhale as if every breath connects you to life. As your mind begins to calm, imagine a warm light radiating from your heart. This light carries love, empathy, and compassion. Let this light first envelop yourself, then extend to someone you care about. and silently think, "May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering." Then, let this light grow even larger, reaching those who have hurt you, not to forgive blindly, but to release yourself from the grip of resentment. When you can do this, you will find that suffering begins to feel lighter. Finally, remember the story of the potter and the fire. The most beautiful pots are always those that endure the highest heat. And we, as humans, are no different from those pots. The challenges and pains in life do not come to break us, but to shape us into the best versions of ourselves. So, if you feel like the snake, like Emma, or like the pot in the fire, know that you are being forged into something stronger. Live with kindness, but don't forget to protect yourself. Love deeply, but never lose your inner strength. And above all, remember that no matter how much suffering comes your way, you have the power to overcome it with the compassion and wisdom deeply rooted in your heart. This question has perplexed humanity for centuries. It feels deeply unjust when kind-hearted, sincere individuals seem to attract suffering while those with malicious intentions often appear to thrive. However, from a spiritual and philosophical perspective, the reality is far more nuanced. The teachings of Buddhism and the wisdom from many other traditions shed light on this profound question. One of the central tenets of Buddhism is the concept of karma, the law of cause and effect. Karma suggests that every action, whether good or bad, creates an imprint that influences future experiences. However, karma operates across a vast timeline that spans not just this life, but potentially many lifetimes. A person who seems to endure suffering despite their goodness may be experiencing the ripened results of past actions. This doesn't mean they are being punished, but rather, they are completing the cycle of cause and effect. The kindness they embody now is creating new positive karma that will bear fruit in time, even if not immediately visible. But karma is not deterministic. It's dynamic and constantly influenced by the present. Even in the face of adversity, our current actions can shape a different future. This is why Buddhism emphasizes mindfulness, intention, and continuous effort to act skillfully. Good people often have a heightened sensitivity to the world. Their compassion and empathy make them more attuned to the pain of others and their own experiences. This depth of perception can amplify the feeling of suffering. But rather than being a flaw, this sensitivity is a profound strength. It's what allows them to grow spiritually and emotionally. In Buddhist philosophy, suffering is seen as a natural part of life. Known as dukkha, it is not something to escape or resent, but an opportunity for insight. Suffering forces introspection. It strips away illusions and reveals the impermanent, interconnected nature of existence. For many, their most significant personal growth comes not during times of ease, but in the face of challenges. Take the story of Prince Siddhartha, who became the Buddha. It was his exposure to the realities of sickness, old age, and death that drove him to seek enlightenment. Without suffering, he might never have sought the truth. In this way, suffering can act as a guide, pointing us toward wisdom and liberation. Often, our understanding of why bad things happen is clouded by limited perspective. We perceive events as inherently good or bad, depending on their immediate impact on our lives. However, what seems terrible in the moment can, over time, reveal itself as a blessing in disguise. Imagine a person who loses their job, only to later find an opportunity that aligns better with their passions. Or someone who faces heartbreak but grows stronger and wiser from the experience, eventually finding deeper love. The teachings of impermanence remind us that no situation is static. What feels like a disaster today might pave the way for a brighter tomorrow. In this way, challenges are not punishments, but turning points, opportunities to build resilience, compassion, and understanding. One common reason bad things seem to happen to good people is that goodness can sometimes be misunderstood or taken advantage of. People with kind hearts are often more trusting, more forgiving, and more willing to give others the benefit of the doubt. While these qualities are strengths, they can also make them vulnerable to those who act out of selfishness or malice. However, this doesn't mean one should abandon kindness. Instead, it's essential to pair goodness with wisdom. As the Buddha taught, learning to set boundaries, like the snake in the story, ensures that kindness is not mistaken for weakness. Being kind does not mean allowing oneself to be exploited. It means acting with compassion for others while respecting oneself. In many spiritual traditions, the trials faced by good people are viewed as tests of integrity and strength. Challenges can serve as opportunities to reaffirm one's values, to act with grace even in adversity. When faced with injustice, good people are called to rise above bitterness and resentment, choosing love and compassion instead. Consider figures like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, or Mother Teresa. Each faced immense hardship, yet their trials became the crucible through which their character was forged. Their ability to remain steadfast in their principles despite suffering inspired millions. Good people often endure challenges not because they are weak, but because they are strong enough to bear them. Their trials allow them to act as beacons of hope for others, showing that goodness can prevail even in the darkest of times. Another profound teaching of Buddhism is the concept of interdependence, that all things are interconnected. When bad things happen to good people, it's not because the universe is targeting them specifically, but because their lives are intertwined with the greater web of existence. For example, a kind farmer may lose their crops due to a drought. The drought isn't a punishment for their goodness. It's part of a broader environmental system. Recognizing this interconnectedness helps us let go of personal grievances and view life's challenges from a broader perspective. Ultimately, the question of why bad things happen to good people leads us to a deeper inquiry. How can we find meaning in suffering? Good people often endure because they are capable of transforming pain into something greater: wisdom, compassion, and even joy. In the face of hardship, one can choose to either close off or open up. The latter requires courage, but allows one to grow spiritually. When a good person suffers and chooses to respond with love instead of hatred, they not only transform their own experience, but also impact the world around them. Bad things happen to good people not because the universe is unjust, but because life itself is complex and multifaceted. Goodness doesn't shield us from pain, but it does give us the tools to navigate it with grace. Through the lens of Buddhist philosophy, suffering is not an enemy but a teacher. It reminds us of life's impermanence, pushes us to grow, and strengthens our resolve. Good people endure not because they are weak, but because they are strong enough to transform adversity into light. In the end, the question is not, why do bad things happen to good people, but rather, how can good people turn bad experiences into opportunities for growth and wisdom? The answer lies in cultivating compassion, resilience, and a deeper understanding of life's interconnected nature. Turning wisdom into practice is where true transformation begins. The teachings of Buddhism provide not only philosophical insights, but also actionable guidance that helps us navigate life's challenges with clarity and grace. Here are practical ways to apply wisdom in daily life, ensuring that kindness and compassion are not only preserved but strengthened through the trials we face. 1. Setting boundaries with kindness. Compassion does not mean allowing others to take advantage of you. Learning to set boundaries is a vital part of living with wisdom. When we let people overstep our limits, we risk emotional exhaustion and resentment, which can cloud the very kindness we aim to uphold. However, setting boundaries does not have to be confrontational or harsh. It can be done with firmness and understanding. For example, if a friend consistently relies on you for support without reciprocating, you can gently communicate your feelings. I care about you and want to help, but I also need time to take care of myself. Let's find a way that works for both of us. This approach preserves the relationship while ensuring that your own needs are respected. Boundaries, when communicated with honesty and compassion, not only protect you but also encourage others to reflect on their actions. 2. Practicing detachment. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the concept of detachment, not in the sense of indifference, but in learning to let go of unhealthy attachments to outcomes, relationships, or possessions. Detachment allows us to engage fully in the present moment without being overly burdened by fear or desire. To practice detachment, start by observing your reactions when things don't go as planned. For instance, if you are working hard on a project but it doesn't receive the recognition you hoped for, Take a step back and ask yourself, am I attaching my self-worth to external validation? Remind yourself that your value is not defined by others' approval. By shifting focus from external outcomes to the effort and intention behind your actions, you'll find greater peace and fulfillment. 3. Embracing resilience through mindfulness. Resilience is not about avoiding pain, but about finding the strength to face it without losing your balance. Mindfulness, the practice of staying present and aware, is a powerful tool for building resilience. When facing a difficult situation, pause and take a few deep breaths. Instead of reacting impulsively, observe your emotions and thoughts without judgment. Ask yourself, what is truly happening here? What is within my control? And what is not? This practice creates a moment of clarity, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than being driven by fear or anger. Over time, mindfulness strengthens your ability to remain calm and centered, even in the face of adversity. 4. Transforming pain into growth. Suffering, when approached with wisdom, becomes a gateway to growth. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Shift the question to, what can I learn from this? This change in perspective turns challenges into opportunities for self-discovery. For instance, if you experience betrayal from a close friend, it's natural to feel hurt. But after acknowledging your emotions, reflect on the situation. What does this teach me about trust? How can I set healthier boundaries in the future? By reframing pain as a teacher, you transform it from a source of despair into a catalyst for personal evolution. 5. Balancing compassion with self-care. Compassion often drives us to prioritize others' needs over our own. While this is noble, it's essential to remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's necessary for sustaining your ability to care for others. Incorporate self-care practices into your routine, such as meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature. Set aside moments to recharge, reflect, and nurture your own well-being. As you cultivate inner strength, you'll find that your capacity to offer compassion to others grows even greater. 6. Responding to injustice with grace. Life often presents situations where kindness is misunderstood or exploited. When faced with injustice, it's easy to feel anger or bitterness. However, responding with grace requires a deeper understanding of the situation. Rather than reacting defensively, pause and consider, is this person acting out of their own pain or ignorance? How can I respond in a way that reflects my values without compromising my boundaries? For example, if a colleague unfairly criticizes you, instead of retaliating, calmly address the issue. I understand your concerns. Can we discuss this constructively to find a solution? This approach not only diffuses tension, but also sets a standard for mutual respect and collaboration. 7. Cultivating gratitude in adversity. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to despair. Even in the midst of suffering, finding small things to be grateful for can shift your perspective and uplift your spirit. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you are thankful for, no matter how small. It could be as simple as the warmth of sunlight, a kind word from a friend, or the resilience you showed in facing a challenge. Gratitude reminds us that even in difficulty, life offers countless blessings. 8. Practicing metta meditation, loving kindness meditation. Metta meditation is a practice that nurtures compassion for yourself and others. Begin by sitting in a quiet place, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breath. Repeat silently to yourself, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be free from suffering. Then extend these wishes to someone you love, someone neutral, and even someone who has caused you pain. By cultivating loving kindness for all beings, including yourself, you create a sense of connection and healing that transcends individual struggles. 9. Trusting the process of life. Finally, trust that life unfolds according to its own wisdom. Not every question will have an immediate answer, and not every challenge will make sense in the moment. But with patience and faith in the journey, clarity often emerges over time. Remind yourself that just as seeds take time to grow into trees, the efforts you make today, whether in kindness, resilience, or self-reflection, will bear fruit in the future. Trusting this process allows you to move forward with confidence, knowing that every step, no matter how small, contributes to your growth. By applying these principles, you can navigate life's complexities with grace and wisdom. The journey is not about avoiding pain, but transforming it into a source of strength and understanding. As you balance kindness with self-care, resilience with mindfulness, and compassion with boundaries, you'll find that the challenges you face are not obstacles but opportunities to grow into the best version of yourself. As we conclude this journey of reflection, we realize that adversity is not an enemy but a silent teacher. It is through the challenges and trials we face that our willpower is forged, our hearts are expanded, and our inner strength is awakened. By approaching adversity with compassion, wisdom, and patience, we not only overcome it, but transform it into a source of power that nurtures our growth. Life is not always easy, but trust that every step you take, every choice you make, no matter how small, contributes to your greater journey. When we learn to let go, practice gratitude, and cultivate compassion, our inner world becomes stronger and more peaceful. From this foundation, we can share these beautiful values with those around us. Thank you for dedicating your precious time to join us in exploring and reflecting on these profound life lessons. If this content resonated with you or brought you a new perspective, please share your thoughts in the comments to let us know how these messages are reaching you. Don't forget to click subscribe to Mindful Glow so you won't miss any of our meaningful content in the future. Together, let's build a community that shares wisdom, compassion, and peace. Once again, thank you, and may your journey always be filled with energy, love, and clarity. See you in the next video.